Well, hello everybody, this is Dr. Troy Dukowitz of the Commit and Go podcast, where we encourage you to make big commitments, take big action, and create big-ass results in your life and business. Today's topic is this: do not hold a firecracker in your hand. So this is something that goes under the duh column. So I'm having some conversations today in coaching, and here in the United States, we're creeping up on this holiday known as the 4th of July. Super exciting time. And whether you're listening to this before or after the 4th of July, doesn't matter. It's basically what happens is the week before the 4th of July, and typically a week or two after, you will hear fireworks going off everywhere. It's just something that people do. They go buy the fireworks, they have some fun, shoot these puppies off, and it's just like a good time. And then there's some that sound like it's just a freaking bomb going off. And it is fun, but it's kind of annoying when it wakes you up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And so the point of this, because as I'm getting off the phone with some of my clients, I'm like giving them this advice. Hey, here comes the 4th of July. I just want to make sure you remember. Have a great week, and do not hold a lit firecracker in your hand. Now, here's what's funny about that is that, first of all, I find myself to be funny in many situations. And in this one, I'm kind of laughing at it because as crazy as it might seem to make that suggestion to someone, and you and I might be like, well, duh, of course you don't hold a lit firecracker in your hand. There are still people out there who do this shit. And when you think, I shouldn't even be laughing because there really are people out there who will do it. Some people do it because they're trying to be what they call, quote unquote, extreme. Maybe they're just being extreme idiots. I don't know. But they're being extreme because they want to hold this firecracker in their hand and show that they can do it. And then they blow their hand off or their fingers off or whatever. And they have like burnt skin that lasts for like 6 weeks and it's blistery. And I don't know, there's just some crazy people out there who do stuff like this. And there's other people who they don't even put two and two together. Like, well, why not? Why not hold a firecracker in your hand? It can't be that bad until it finally explodes. And it goes under that thing. It goes under that thing that we've all talked about before, that we all wonder if people actually have it, which is called common sense. And what we start to realize is that common sense is not so common. What makes sense to you might not make sense to another. And so as I'm making this comment and I'm kind of laughing, I'm hearing myself say it through the course of the day. I'm like, wow, what a lesson in common sense though, because there are really people out there that common sense is not so common. And I don't say this to be insulting. I don't say this to be derogatory. I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm saying this that it's real. And if I understand that common sense is not so common, I start to realize in terms of my communication how important it is for me to be clear. In terms of my communication, how important it is for me to make sure that what I'm saying is being met by the person across from me and they understand it. How do I know that? I ask them to repeat it back to me. I make sure that people understand details, that something that seems so common sense to you does not need to be common sense to someone else. And when we start to realize that, especially as a business owner, when I realize that when I sit in a team meeting and I have other people on my team sitting there, that I have to make sure that I am extremely clear on the expectations of a project. And I have to make sure that they can repeat back to me the expectations of that project. I also need to make sure that they can tell me some of the steps that they think are necessary and what their steps are. In other words, if we can create more clarity in the conversation, we're going to get better results. I want you to think about that. If we can create more clarity in the conversation, we're going to get better results. Otherwise, I sit and have conversations with people who I think get it. Because to me, it's just common sense. To me, it just makes sense that you should do that. To me, it just makes sense that you should send it to me via email. To me, it just makes sense that you should send somebody a welcome card. To me, it just makes sense that you should do these things. But just because it's common sense for me in the way that I've been brought up doesn't mean that it's common sense for somebody else. And I see this happen all the time with business owners, and they end up getting upset with their employees, and they say those magical words. I can't believe they don't do it. It's just common sense. That's just how you take care of people. But at the end of the day, common sense is not common sense to everyone. It's not common. And so if I realize that, it changes me as a leader. And it helps me to understand that unless I have clarity and they have clarity and we are on the same page, I cannot assume that anything is common sense. Until I start to see their habits, until I see how they work, how they are moving when they are taking action, And as I observe this and I see the victories start to stockpile and they start to build up day after day, here we go with the victory stack, right? Day after day, week after week, month after month, I start to now better understand the people around me. I understand what their level of quote unquote common sense is. If we match from a level of common sense, or if we're still off and it's just because it's a value system that's different. And that's okay. Now it merely means that in a meeting or in a conversation, I have to make sure that we are absolutely clear in whatever area we're talking about. And I know I'm being very generalized and vague when I talk about it in this way, like the area that we talk about, but you might be talking about something within your business that does have to do with client outreach. And maybe for you, it just makes sense that we're going to do this every 2 to 3 days for the course of the first 2 weeks. And I want to send a card on the 1st and the 7th day. But the things that happen in between, we want to mix up a little bit. And for you, mix up means audio, it means video, and it means memes. But for the person in front of you, it means a short email or a long email. See, there's just 2 different understandings of what common sense is for reaching out to people. And I don't know if that's a good example or not, but I think you get the point. The point is that as a leader, I have to understand that what's common sense to me might not be that for someone else. And if I understand that right now, when I sit and have a meeting with an employee or a team of employees, the number one thing that I will do is make sure that we are clear on the expectations and the path to getting there. And if we are clear on the expectations and the path, the actions that have to take place to get there, and everyone knows their role, we are set. We can move forward. We can grow. We can expand. But if we don't tackle this, don't be shocked if you're upset because somebody let a firecracker explode in their hand. That's all I've got for you here today. I am Dr. Troy Dukowitz, reminding you, do not hold lit firecrackers in your hand. And hopefully reminding you to head on over to iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. Make sure that you rate and or review this podcast. And as always, victories, challenges, questions, email me, drtroy@commitandgo.com. And head on over to www.commitandgo.com. Check out the site, find out more about me, programs that we offer, and how maybe we can help you moving forward in a life of having it all. That's all I've got for you here today. I am Dr. Troy Dukowitz. This has been the Commit and Go podcast, where we encourage you to make big commitments, take big action, and create big-ass results in your life and business. We'll hear you next time.